Well,
that was a weird. I had never been past it. We just kind of tucked into a neighborhood back there.
Right.
But there was a little deli on the corner. I don't know if you know the area.
Yes.
So we buy lunch for people when they're on strike, and we all just, and staff get it too usually, but we all just got a gift certificate and got like deli sandwiches, and it was good. It was like usually they get pizza or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of a nice, supporting like a local place.
These the people that will be talking?
Yeah, in that order.
Okay.
Hey, Scotty, you should see me now. Yep. Appreciate it, bud.
Here, you guys got the signs. You should be where you can be seeing it. Just browse through it.
Yeah. Anybody who's speaking up front, closer to the cord, be careful, don't trip. Anybody speaking up front, everybody else behind.
Oh, I don't need to be super far behind. Yeah. Make sure your sign.
You want us to spell our names too, is that true? Need to spell our names out?
Probably Mateo.
Okay.
For sure.
Actually, you know what? I have the release here too.
It's all the same. It's all connected.
If you guys want that too.
There you go.
Okay.
You won't get seen if you're
No, it's been a word of mouth.
You're shorter than me, especially when I'm on the grass. And I'm at
Best way to clip this. Maybe here?
There you go.
Yeah?
come behind. You want to come behind?
Do me a favor, can you say something real quick?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. So, since you handed that out, we don't need to spell out our names? Okay, great. Okay, good. Ready to go? Okay. All right, good morning. My name is Bernie Burnham, and I'm the president of the Minnesota AFL-CIO, the statewide federation of more than 1,000 local unions who collectively represent nearly 300,000 working people in our state. Thank you for joining us this morning. We had hoped that we wouldn't need to be here this morning, but unfortunately, President Trump is either refusing to release emergency funding that has already been appropriated to fund SNAP through the month of November, or is simply so disconnected from working people that he doesn't see this as a problem. It is a problem, and it's a big one. Beginning tomorrow, nearly 500,000 Minnesotans, including 152,000 children, will lose the SNAP nutrition assistance that is so vital to keeping food on kitchen tables across our state. Make no mistake, this is going to hurt Minnesotans. Everything is more expensive these days, especially food, and many people aren't able to stretch their paychecks further than they already have. However, thanks to the work of Governor Walz and progressive legislators, K through 12 students in our public schools will continue to have access to free breakfast and lunch. And thanks to the governor's emergency assistance, food shelves aren't going into this completely unprepared. But these are stopgap solutions. We need this funding restored. This morning, you're going to hear exactly why SNAP must be restored from the people who are most impacted. First, I want to introduce Mateo Halbasleben, a current recipient of SNAP benefits who lives in Minneapolis. Mateo.
Hi, good morning. Happy Halloween. Well, to be perfectly honest, a week ago when I sent a message or read the post that Channel 5 was looking for people to speak about this. I didn't even think I would get a response from it because I know this affects so many people. However, now that I've thought about it a little more, it does make sense. A lot of people that are on SNAP or any sort of social support system, we're not proud of it. We don't want to be here. We don't want the help. We would rather be able to provide that help for ourselves. Myself, when I go into stores and I use my food stamp card, I look for a self-checkout because I've gone through checkouts where the cashiers give a little air of judgment as you go through there. And now, while my story isn't everyone's story, my specific story is I had a series of health challenges from skin cancer and reconstructive surgery on my face that knocked me out for about 6 months before I could start doing better physical work. And I also have sustained injuries from a car accident that have progressively gotten worse. My day-to-day functions, I have about 4 hours I can stand up before I have to lay down and do some therapy to get my ribs back in the proper position. Every day, it's hard for me to breathe. I have some damages on the whole left side of my body that gives complications with driving and doing lots of physical work. And while a lot of people out there always have this assumption that people are lazy, they're on these benefit systems, I may live here in Minneapolis now, but I grew up in rural Wisconsin on a farm. I have worked hard most of my life. And right now I'm in a position that over these last few years, as these health journeys happened, I lost my original home. It got to the point where I was able to work less, and less, and I have been very creative on trying to figure out ways to work while I have these challenges. I am now finally just getting to the point where I can work part-time to an extent. And this is after a few years of trying to get on disability that, for those out there that think disability is an easy thing to get on, that is completely false. So in this moment, as any funds I make at this moment is trying to make sure that I keep a home and I don't lose a home. I was fortunate that friends of mine recently gave me a loan to help me keep my house. And right now, that money for food stamps does a lot. And yes, there's food shelves out there. You can go to it. It's great. But food shelves only have limited items. And for a lot of the food shelves that do food recovery situations from local grocery stores, that food is either 2 days away from molding up or all the way molded up already. So while there's a myriad of things I could say about this, I wasn't expecting a week ago to be speaking publicly about this scenario. So while I said that my story is my own, there's other stories out there of people that have families and they're trying to keep their kids fed. There are elderly that can't work anymore and their retirement doesn't pay enough for them to eat the food. But there are a lot of people like me that got in a life situation for a while that those food stamps help support them through this process. And right now, as we're facing the longest government shutdown that we've had in the history of the United States thus far, we know that there's an emergency fund out there that could be approved to pay for the SNAP benefits as they're trying to figure out the deals of the shutdown. And right now, as we look at it, we're seeing Republicans blame the Democrats. They're trying to say this big, beautiful bill, but really this big, ugly bill. The main thing that Democrats are fighting for at the moment is that our insurance prices and payments don't get screwed, because once people are paying more insurance, they're getting poorer faster. So while myself and my political beliefs, red, blue, purple, that's a longer conversation. But what I am observing right now is we have a lot of politicians that forget that they're our employee. They work for us, and they're not representing our constituents right now. These billionaires and millionaires that are paying off everything and pulling all the strings, it's not fair. And as we're about to have our first trillionaire in history, as this has gone on, there's a bunch of us that aren't able to afford groceries because grocery prices have gone up since COVID. They've gone up since the beginning of this year as this whole 4D chess tariff war, whatever they want to call it. I apologize. It's very hard to speak without swearing about this. But we're just at a moment where the separation between the rich and the poor has become huge. And in my opinion, if you aren't making over $100,000 a year, you're poor in comparison to what the rest of the world is like. So I'm sure I have more to say, but I will end it on that note.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mateo. Next, we have St. Paul parent and educator, Davina Moore.
Good morning, everyone. Like many of our students, I grew up in a single-parent household, one of 4 children, and we received food stamps. And so it really hits home for me, knowing that a lot of our students depend on that additional support to eat every day. So the government shutdown and pause in benefits has created immediate challenges for our students and families who already face food insecurity. Majority of our families qualify for free and reduced meals at school. Many of our children already depend on those school meals as their most consistent source of nutrition. So any additional disruption in that will have a direct impact on their health and learning. Hunger affects more than the body. It affects focus, attendance, behavior, and emotional well-being in the classroom. At Benjamin E. Mays, we recognize that it takes a village. And so as soon as we were notified about the shutdown and benefit pause, I reached out to our staff and greater school community to make a plan to stand in the gap for our students and our families. We began to compile a list of, and it's consistently growing, of community resources that will be mass distributed. And what we recognize is that when families struggle to meet basic needs, our entire school community feels the impact. We are committed to supporting our students and families through this difficult time and for the long haul. It's overwhelming to see what our families are already going through, the needs that they already have, and this is just even more of a catastrophe, and that our youngest citizens are being affected the most, and they can't do for themselves. And so we've become the hands and feet for their families. They're already experiencing so much, and we just want to make sure that in this time and moving forward that they know that Mays, Benjamin E. Mays, we care. And so, thank you.
Thank you, Davina. Up next is Erica Valiant, a parent and St. Paul School Board member.
Thank you. All right, so good morning, everybody. My name is Erica Valiant. I am a school board director with St. Paul Public Schools, and I'm happy to be here today to speak on behalf of all of us who have used SNAP benefits, including myself. I've experienced housing instability, food instability, job instability, even homelessness. And during those times, SNAP was a vital lifeline for my family. Even while I was working full-time, I still qualified for SNAP benefits because those 40 hours were not enough. And it's been said that SNAP was never meant to be enough. It was meant to be a supplement. And that's where food shelves like this one right behind me at Holly Q. Brown stepped in with bread, meat, pantry staples, pastries, and sometimes even fresh flowers to help brighten up the home. I am deeply grateful for our food shelves. They're doing incredible work under growing pressure, but they should not be expected to carry this burden alone. For every one meal a food shelf provides, SNAP provides 9. We'd be hard-pressed to replace that with just donations and goodwill alone, and we should not have to. Right now, because of Donald Trump and conservative leaders' shutdown at the government, nearly 500,000 Minnesotans, nearly 440,000 Minnesotans, including more than 150,000 children, are about to lose the food assistance that they rely on, that we rely on. For just about $6 a day per person, you can feed a family. Sounds like a charity commercial, right? Well, it's not. That's just about the actual SNAP benefit. And while it may sound like a charity commercial, this is not a charity issue. This is a policy choice. Every family in Minnesota deserves stability, to know that they can put dinner on the table and send their kids to school ready to learn. Minnesota has stepped up with free meals for all of our students during the day, but just like kids can't do homework without a home, they can't be expected to show up to learn without food to eat on nights and weekends. Governor Walz's emergency funds will help for a few days, but it will not fix the gaping hole created by this shutdown. SNAP isn't just about feeding families. It strengthens our local communities, small grocers, and farmers markets across the state. But even if it were just about feeding families, there is honor in that. We need our leaders, especially today in Washington, especially the conservatives, and all of us here in Minnesota, to decide what we value more, people or politics. Because families can't eat promises. And our children cannot wait for Congress to remember their humanity. My value lies with the people. And remember, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So today, I say to you, with my full chest, make your stand for our families, or move, get out the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Finally, we have Benny Roberts, Executive Director of the Hallie Q. Brown Community Center right here in St. Paul. Benny.
Trick or treat. As we watch impoverished, poor, working class, and middle class families get tricked, critical aid is being ripped out of their hands. We see the wealthy treat themselves to leisure and luxury while strengthening their storehouses. Greed. But our strength isn't in, and has never been, in the amount of government aid, subsidy, or systemic support we receive. It's actually the opposite. These are conditions we are used to. Sadly, it's overt and covert practices that pick on the vulnerable for the profit of the comfortable. But this isn't power. This is fear masked as strength, and it's cowardice cosplaying as leadership. Our strength is in community, and it always has been. This is literally why we were birthed in this community. We are not proud of what is happening because it's very nefarious. But we've been here before, and we need to remind ourselves that in this day and age, we might have to come back here. This is the post-industrial period. This is the civil rights movement. This is 1929. And every time community flourishes, we're going to brace for harm in community. We're going to support each other in community. We're going to do our best, but we need community. We're going to be good to one another in the process because we'll need each other to be the strongest community we can for one another. Our food shelf is open. Our basic needs closet is open. But it's going to require patience and collaboration, not chaos. This is a time where we need to be sharp for one another. We need general donations of money to keep us flexible to shift as the tides change. We need families to bring unopened, unused food that's not spoiled that we can share with our neighbors. People to bring clothes that are in good condition. Toilet paper, pads, and other common goods that we need because we're human. And we need volunteers to support our neighbors and volunteer to maintain the peace in our communities because we're not the enemy. Keystone is open. Hallie Q. Brown is open. Nourish is open. Merrick is open. Neighborhood House is open. And many of our neighborhood churches, they're open, ready to help and support each other. So we'll take care of each other as we always do in community. So let's treat ourselves in the short term and be good neighbors to one another. And let's do this right for our children because they deserve all this effort and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. As you have heard, this is much more than political posturing. The consequences are very real for Americans, and using hunger as a political weapon is beyond immoral. So our message to President Trump and his allies in Congress is clear. restore SNAP funding, and end the shutdown in a way that doesn't make health care and other essentials even more expensive. We are happy to answer any questions you have. Yes.
So next week, we're going with our regular program, but we do have additional snack packs that we have been donated from St. Paul Promise for our students that we already have identified, or students that, let us know that there's something going on. We have a list compiled already that I'll have a QR code to that families can go to. It has resources from throughout the entire metro area that they can get to. I know a lot of our families are displaced, and so some of our students come in from all over the place, so we don't want to just limit it to the St. Paul area. And myself and my coworkers, we're here and ready to do what we have to do. But we also want to educate our students and put them in a position to win and try to keep something as consistent as possible. So yeah, we're reaching out to families. We're ready for families to reach out to us, and we're going to do anything we can possible within our, within limits to make sure that they're okay.
What do you think a member of the community could do that would be most impactful right now?
That's me. Yes. Sorry, I'm cold. Brain freeze. Members of the community could donate goods. They can volunteer their time to come to not just Hallie Q. Brown, but our other food shelves around here, our other schools, if they do all the proper screenings and those things. But it's really going to take community presence. I think about it like we were in the pandemic and the social unrest, that period. It's going to take that kind of collaboration for people getting besides themselves and thinking about how they can share what they have to benefit their neighbor.
Have you already seen foot traffic to the...
Absolutely. That already started this week. We've probably doubled our food request just this week alone. And so we anticipate that going up more. We're grateful for a lot of aid and crowdsourcing that our communities come through to benefit our food shelf. I know they're doing that for others as well. And then also Ramsey County has sent us an emergency grant as well that we can use to be able to purchase more food. But it's still going to be a strain on all of our community centers and food shelves because many of them are lean already with staffing. So the volunteer support will be really helpful to help smoothen the process for people to get food quicker, but also hungry people, have sometimes the hardest ability to manage emotions, right? We've all been hungry before. There's a whole Snickers commercial about us not being who we are when we're hungry. And so it's really going to take us being able to come together to support one another and aid that and benefit us.
So I can be reached at davina.moore@spps.org. And I've just been getting many resources, even other lists that have already been compiled that may be missing other things, and we're just adding it all to a spreadsheet. And once I set the QR code for that, anybody that scans it can access that as a viewer, and they're able to go through and just find what they need. There is a lot of food resources, but we're also looking for other resources because we know a lot of times when one system fails, many more fail as a contribution to that. And so whatever other, we already experience families that are like housing and, just basic needs that we every day get up and just kind of do and take, I don't want to say take for granted, but we take it for granted. And so that we want that list to grow. And we were already helping families on a one-on-one basis, but this is just a reminder that we are, as Benny said, a community, and so we should have been doing this. This shouldn't be an urgent, let's hurry up and get it done. It should have already been in place. And so we're grateful for this opportunity and the last week or two to kind of compile that list, but it's ready to go. I was just adding more information to it this morning. So if anybody want to reach out, Davina.Moore, DEVINA.MOORE at spps.org and send us stuff. And we're open for donations as well. We know the needs of our families, hats, gloves, things like that we were already in need of. But I'm sure that it's going to be even a larger need when I need to buy food to feed my family and can't afford those gloves. So thank you.
Would I be able to come up there? I'm with 5051. Would it be okay if I go up there? Absolutely. Okay. Hi, I'm Alicia with 5051, and I just want to piggyback on what everybody else has said there, that the community is going to really have to step up in every way. With 5051 today, we will be launching an online, sorry, I don't want to get emotional, but we're launching an online fundraiser to raise money for the food group, and the food group helps to distribute money to over 200 food shelves within the area. So we'll be launching that today for folks to donate to. But as everybody else said, it's going to take a whole lot more than that to get through this. We're going to have to talk to our neighbors, see what they need, put out food pantries for folks to go into. There's the gaps where food shelves aren't going to be able to meet it, accessibility, mobility needs. There's going to be people that are suffering silently as well, and we need to all be cognizant of the situation that is happening there. So I just beg that people do everything in their power all the time to really get us through this. If you need to contact restaurants to see what they're able to offer, just do what you can. But please watch for our fundraiser, and we'll be launching that today, and we'll be having more initiatives later this month. But together we'll get through this. That's how it's going to have to be.
Alicia, what's your full name?
Alicia Shelp, SEHAUPP.
And the organization?
Minnesota 5051.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Group photo. Let's move this thing and have everybody stand together.